Hi, everyone. Welcome to Shoot from the Hoop, where we discuss all things FITASC and sporting clays. My name is Jeff Jensen. I'm an avid shooter and the host for the Shoot from the Hoop podcast. Today, I'm joined by two sporting clays entrepreneurs, Hugo Soll and Dan Beal. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Great to be here. Thank you for having us.
Oh, man, it's fantastic. Thanks for joining me. It's going to be episode number 2. I've got episode 1, which is kind of an introduction to the podcast. So I appreciate you diving in head first with me, and hopefully we'll get this podcast out after the first of the year. So I wanted to start asking you about Lost Dutchman Sporting Clays. It's an entrepreneurial venture. Your partner's in it. Incredible support. You've got the Arizona shooting community behind you. Love to get the story right from the beginning, if you don't mind sharing it.
Sure, I'll start and I'll let Dan pick up too on this. So a few years back, we actually started this adventure. Found a piece of ground that we wanted that was perfect down by Florence, and we thought this would be an ideal opportunity. We know that we could shoot all year round and really have limited venues to do so. So we decided that, we wanted to do something to help improve that. So we looked at this piece of property. We're prepared to make some offers on it. We kind of waited because the market was, softening. And so we held off a little bit. We had, obviously several people on board. We had gathered a community of shooters who had all put in money. We had like $100,000 in the bank to go after the property, where everybody had contributed. Unfortunately, somebody who races side-by-sides, of all things, bought the ground before we could make the final offer and bought it from us. So people like Terry Vanderplas, Russ Wald, all well-known shooters, were part of this, and Mark Laresh, and several others, Don Waring, all were part of that original run for this property. But once that fell apart, we looked for several years. And of course, one of the challenges we have in Arizona is we have a lot of flat ground. We just don't have a lot of terrain. And it didn't make any sense to purchase anything that was flat ground, which we already have a lot of that. And the other part was that in Arizona, there's not a lot of public ground. It's a lot of, belongs to, obviously the Indian community, as well as the state, as well as federal lands. So there's not a lot of private property available if you start really looking. Russ Wald actually let me know that there was a piece of ground, and he shot me the price, and I was like, well, gosh, that's a lot. It's 80 acres, I'll keep it in mind, right? And then soon he let me know that it dropped, and he goes, we should go take a look at it. And I had already spent 3 years looking for property. So keep in mind, I dragged my wife out weekend after weekend out to the desert to drive around to look at just raw ground. And she was like done, and I was done. And we were like, we dissolved the corporation because we thought there's no point. There was really, we had done our due diligence and we had gone through it. Well, Russ said, hey, you need to take a look at this. And I'm like, okay, let's, I guess just send me photos. And he sent me photos. And of course, photos don't do, ground justice. So he talked me into finally going out there. We got lost. And I'm like, this road was horrible. And I'm like, and we finally pop out and there's this paved road. I go, why did we not go on the paved road? Because I didn't know it was there. And so finally we get to the piece of ground and we both look around and we go, oh my gosh, this is it. This is because it had elevation, it had a 60-foot, quarried out from exonerated copper in the 80s, mining pit. It had gravel that, piled up everywhere that we could use for a variety of things, plus use some of it for, launching targets off of. It had rolling hills. It had magnificent views, magnificent scenery. So I actually put out a call out to, that day we made the offer. We went ahead and made the offer that day. As soon as we saw it, we're like, we got to go, because it was just right. It felt right. Dan luckily came out like that next weekend when we started to try to look at how we can clean this thing up, because it was truly an old mining facility and gravel pit. And when he got out there, I'll let Dan speak to this part. So Dan, tell him what you saw when you came out the first time.
It's like a factory blew up over there. There was garbage everywhere, steel and tires and chains and just general rubbish everywhere. So I don't know how many containers of garbage we hauled off of that place, but it was a labor of love for many weekends to dig through all the kind of interesting trash and garbage around there. A lot of old mining stuff from the, I don't know, many years. So a lot of cool things you look at and go, what the heck is this thing? But we really cleaned it up nice. All the garbage and debris is gone. And we used the gravel that Hugo was talking about very wisely all over the property. We've got lots more to do as we expand. So it was quite a mess and quite an undertaking. And when you look back at it, you almost forget about how much work it was. But the before and after pictures sure remind you.
Well, I've been following the whole process on Facebook. It seems like for a couple of years. Give me a timeline on this. When did you buy it? And then, for example, when did you hold your first shoot and get the traps in and everything?
January of 2024, we bought it.
Okay.
And then June of that year, we threw our first shoot, a 50 bird, 5 stand, basically 5 stations, just so that we could get people out there to see what it was. And we really pushed that timeline to get that there because we had to, get machines, we had to get containers, we had to get an office container, things that would allow us to infrastructure to run a shoot of any size, much less a, even just a, 50 bird event. So it was truly 50 birds, 5 stand, 50 birds sporting clay. But, so it was truly 100, but we had to split it up because we didn't have all the stuff done or the infrastructure to put in all the course part. Now we have 2 courses, so we can do a lot more. But yeah, so from January, we closed. June, we threw the first shoot of 2024.
And then last year in January, and again, it's coming up in January of 2026, is the Copper Queen FITASC event. That's a big event. That's the signature event, right?
Yes, it is very much so. It's something we're very excited about. In fact, we have one of the trophies. I think Dan's got one of the trophies with us tonight that is a solid silver shotgun shell.
Oh, right on.
5 ounces of silver, and it's gone up every day since I bought it about 6 months ago. So,
so that's for the high overall?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Pretty cool, interesting. Yeah, we kind of precious metals has kind of been our signature trophy because of course, the heritage of the range. So we've been doing that pretty much steadily. All of our trophies have been, silver, gold, or some precious metal to kind of honor our foundations.
Well, let's talk about the heritage a little bit and perhaps the name. How'd you come up with Lost Dutchman Sporting Clays?
Well, Lost Dutchman is basically a true story in Arizona history. Jacob Waltz came into Arizona in the late 1800s, worked up in the mines up by Prescott, and ended up at the Vulture mine outside Wickenburg, and then left there to head out to start prospecting in the Superstition Mountains. He finally found some gold. He went to Florence, Arizona, which is very close to our range, to turn that gold in. He set shockwaves because the amount of gold, the purity of it, needed to be smelted before it was sent off. In all told, he had pulled out $250,000 in gold in those days, and that was actually shipped by Wells Fargo, and they have records of it shipped there because there was a lot of people saying, well, he never had gold, but the records show that he shipped it by Wells Fargo to the U.S. Mint. So on his deathbed, though, he was trying to convey where the mine was, where this gold was. And he either didn't get it right, or people have not interpreted the messaging right on this map that he gave the gal who was taking care of him. And that has been a center of contention and causation of many people to go out to the superstitions from Florence all the way up to look for this mine, because he was known as the Lost Dutchman because nobody knew where he'd gone to and where all this gold was. So the mine has still not been found to this date. There are still people who die out there every year trying to find it and are rescued and so on. So we felt, based on that story and the scenario, that it's a perfect lead-in for what we are and what we do.
Yeah. My gosh, that's a great story. So I have a question for each of you, and Dan, we'll start with you. What is something that you know now that you didn't have any idea of in January of 2024?
The sheer amount of work it takes to really deliver a good a good event. It doesn't start the day before, right? We spent a lot of time really worrying about the shooter experience, being shooters ourselves, and experiencing the different various levels of shoots that others deliver. We know what we like and what we appreciate, and we're all about the shooter camaraderie, shooter experience, and we want everybody to experience that. So the level of work it takes to deliver that final product, there's a lot that goes on that I didn't appreciate until now.
Fair enough. Same question, Hugo. Something that you didn't know in January of 2024 that you know now.
No, I think, when you attend a shoot, it's a very different experience than when you are working behind the scenes to make all the things go. And it's very much to add on what Dan said. I mean, you have things that you didn't count on happening. A machine falls over and the targets all break. You didn't plan on the target to stop the shoot and that kind of thing happening. You didn't plan on, one of the batteries of your card reader to die. Things of those nature that you thought you had it all lined out, and inevitably something goes wrong. But it's not so much where it fails as where you pick up the pieces and make that go so as smooth as possible. So learned a lot about that background stuff. I know a lot about Promatic machines. Never wanted to know anything about Promatic machines. Now I know lots of things about Promatic machines. So and Dan is actually much better than I am about working on Promatic machines by a long shot. So I mean, I'm good enough. I can make it all go, but Dan by far is the expert of that.
Oh, I think that's fabulous. I've got 8 Promatic at a farm in Wisconsin that we put out in the summertime, and there's always something to be fixed. That's for sure. So I can test living testament to the quality of targets, because last year's FITASC event was unbelievable. 4 parkours, the terrain was unbelievable, shooting down under our feet. Something to your point earlier, Hugo, we don't experience here in Arizona. So what is the overriding target setting philosophy at Lost Dutchman?
I think making it fair and visible, but utilizing the terrain in such a way that it makes you feel that the target's faster, slower, or dropping off quicker, just because the terrain creates false perceptions that you normally don't pick up unless you're shooting outside of Arizona. So I think that's probably one of the great things that, this Terry Vanderplas and Ryan Holmes are setting this particular course coming up for this event. And by golly, they put some presentations together that'll make you go, wow. So we're excited.
Oh yeah, Terry and Ryan are phenomenal target setters. So that's fantastic. I can't wait to attend the shoot in January. It'll be a lot of fun. Just so our listeners know, Hugo and I go way back. We both shoot semi-automatics, and we always have hulls all over the place when we shoot together. But we always have a good time, Hugo.
Exactly.
Messy boys
For sure. Hey, I wanted to also talk about the food. I mean, Lost Dutchman's known for the food, Dan. What's on the menu for January?
Boy, I don't know yet. We have to talk about that. We kind of wait for about 2 weeks ahead of time, and then I get some inspiration. But we've had a lot of different different menus, and it'll be good, I'm sure.
Oh, that's fantastic. Let's shift a little bit away from the Lost Dutchman and talk about yourselves a little bit. Maybe a little background. What you do for a living when you're not working at Lost Dutchman. How you got into shooting. Anything you want to share with our viewers and listeners. Dan, if you want to go first.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I grew up in Nebraska in pheasant country. Literally, the town I grew up in was very small, but we had the best pheasant hunting in the world. So that was my passion. I loved the pheasant hunt more than anything. Moving out to Arizona, I missed, running a shotgun, and a friend of mine invited me out to go shoot sporting clays, which I never heard of. This was, I don't know, in the '90s, and I just got addicted to it. I was out there yeah, I mean, every minute I could. I was out there in the 115-degree heat, just going at it, just having a blast. So I started shooting over at Ben Avery quite a bit. It's not far from my house. I live up in the north part of Phoenix, and it's not a far range. So spent a lot of time over there and met a lot of great people and got a lot of great fun. Then I started traveling, got opportunities to shoot in, probably 10 or 15 different places around the country, and, just love it. I think it's just an amazing, fun time.
And the people you meet are unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So Dan, I live in Anthem. I'm like 10 minutes away from Ben Avery. So I get down there a fair amount too.
I don't get there much anymore, unfortunately.
Well, you got your own place to shoot at.
That's right. Well, you would think we'd be able to shoot some, but we haven't quite figured out how to balance that too much. We have our own little personal competitions. We try to sneak in. We have a standing $5 bet on a 5-stand or a FITASC parkour, or a little bit of sporting clays, but we're due for some more shooting soon.
Yeah, like a little skins game on each station or something. Oh, I love it. Hugo, how about yourself?
So originally from Colorado, born and raised, actually fourth generation Colorado. So, so grew up there. A buddy of mine in college actually said, "Hey, my uncle owns this sporting clay range, and it was Renegade Sporting Clays, which was out by Brighton." So I was like, "Oh yeah, because like Dan, we hunted pheasants nonstop. We were out every weekend hunting pheasants, and I thought, well, I'm a pretty good shooter, so let's go to this place." And he dragged me out there, and the first thing I thought, he had a beautiful 5-stand that was over an irrigation creek or feedback creek for the wheat fields. And so, had all this beautiful growth. And then I decided this is going to be a great time. And so I learned that shooting sporting clay and 5-stand was very different, because my first run, I got 5 out of 25. And I was like, gosh, this is a lot harder than I thought. So I actually raced factory for Polaris for snowcross. So I raced snowmobiles. And then in April, when finally the season went down, we would go and start shooting sporting clays because, gosh, we really liked that. And since hunting season was over, we'd go do that. Then, Colorado had a lot of shooting places. Kiowa Creek, Mark and Brenda's place, loved that place. Quail Run, Colorado Clays, Rocky Mountain Roosters, Isaac Walton. So we had all these venues that we could go to, and they're all about an hour and change to get to, because I lived at the base of the mountains. So, that was a pretty normal commute for us. And when I came to Arizona, I was disappointed because I came down and to be with my family. My dad lives down here. My brothers all live down here. So we moved down to be part of the family. And I was like, gosh, there's only 2 places. There was Red Mountain and Ben Avery. And I was like, goodness gracious. And then there was Tucson, but that was a bit of a hike to go down there. So I was a little surprised where you could shoot year round. There wasn't more venues. And of course, then Red Mountain closed. Rio opened and kind of that transition period. But, really was surprised that we had so few choices to go there. I do work for Boeing Defense, so I work on the KC-46 Tanker and the Apache attack helicopter. So that keeps me busy when I'm not on there. So yes, like Dan and I work 7 days a week. There's no doubt about that. So shooting is more challenging. And Dan owes me a 5-stand because he was playing out he was setting targets, and he kept going, "We're going to do this 5-stand." And I'm like, "All right, I'm ready." And he goes, "Well, I got stuck. I was still playing with the machine, and we were setting the target." And I'm like, "Come on now." So
I thought you were going to say
5-stand next time we're out there. So
I thought you were going to say Dan was setting the targets that he liked to shoot, not the ones you like to shoot. So, it's funny story, Hugo. So I started shooting in Colorado too. We lived in Evergreen, and I practiced at Rose Medical Center. And Warren Watson out at Kiowa Creek, he was the instructor out there. He used to joke that I'm the only guy that headed east on my way home from work. I'd go to Kiowa Creek and then I'd go back up to Evergreen. But the shooting was great. I mean, Quail Run, like you said, Colorado Clays. So yes, we need Lost Dutchman here in Arizona. So let me go back to one question about Lost Dutchman. What do you see 5 years from now at Lost Dutchman, Dan?
Well, we're going to grow this organically. We're Hugo and I are got kind of the same mindset about continuing to create a really good shooter experience. We've only used about a third of our property right now, so we've got some really good plans for additional courses, and we'll one day have a real clubhouse, a real substantial clubhouse, and just continue to build the infrastructure but do it slowly and really to the benefit of the shooter.
Hugo?
And I have to agree with Dan. I think one of the things I've seen, and one of being able to being in data analytics and really analyzing, results from, things that occur in aircraft and helicopters and vertical lift, you get to see a lot of things. And one of the things I find is that you have to grow this organically. A lot of people go out there and spend a lot of money on a club and they never materialize a way to pay for it long term. And I think growing this organically, one shooter at a time, one smile at a time, one handshake at a time, one meal at a time, is really how this is going to grow to be a place that people, I think unfortunately our business has turned transactional, meaning you go to a sporting clay range, you give them your money, they give you the card, and you're ushered out the door, or you're told that we close at 2:00 or 3:00 or whatever it might be, as far as, kind of ending the relationship. And then you're on your own. You're on a transactional basis. So you go out and shoot. Nobody says anything to you. You're by yourself. You end up back, done for the day. You get in your truck and leave, right? But to me, one of the things I loved about Colorado, including Kiowa Creek, where you've shot, and where Quail Run, if you remember how they ran it out there, we used to go have lunch there and we'd sit there for 2-3 hours. I remember getting chewed out by my wife, but nonstop, going, what is going on? What have you been doing? Your shoot was at 8:00 and you're now home at 3:30 or 4:00 in the afternoon. And I remember those days well. And when I came down here, there was some of that, but as time has progressed and, the venues have changed in leadership, we see less and less of that opportunity. And, I think Tim Miles is one of the ones that did it best and learned a lot from what he does. And I think that builds for our future. But, some of the other ranges out around, I just don't see that happening. It's a transaction and you're done.
Yeah, in state facilities, that's kind of the nature of the game at Ben Avery. But you know what? It gives us an opportunity to shoot. And I'm frustrated like you. I get off work or something and I run down to Ben Avery and like, oops, we're closing at 2. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just came down to shoot for an hour, but nope, we're closed.
Yeah.
So I support that 100%. And I agree with you. Customer service is the ticket these days because you don't get it in many places.
And people remember that. I think that they remembered those experiences very differently, so that they want to travel and visit you.
Absolutely. Oh, I agree totally. So I wanted to do a little segment on Shoot from the Hoop called Rapid Fire, no pun intended, but just quick questions, little answers, just kind of get a feel for a few things. So I thought I would start with Friday night. Let's say you're not going to Lost Dutchman, you're taking your wife out for dinner. What's your favorite type of food or restaurant in the Phoenix area? Dan?
Well, I'm kind of a foodie, so I can't help it. And I like to go hit new places around here. I live up in the north part of town, so there's not a ton of restaurants. But when I'm feeling like a cowboy, I go up to Harold's, which has been there for years and years, and actually kind of a cool story up there. They've always got something good going on, but there's several little Italian restaurants and mom and pop places. I'll even do the sushi thing. So I like to patronize them all. Especially if it's a mom and pop owned place. I like to support the local businesses. Confluence is a really good restaurant up by me that I like to go to.
Fabulous. Hugo, where are you
Yeah.
off for dinner on a Friday night?
Right now, it's probably one of three places. I'm a little more regimented than Dan. Dan's a more experimental kind of guy. The keg. I like the
For sure.
keg.
Yeah.
Um, Family supporting Serrano's would be another one. I really enjoy Serrano's Mexican food. I think that's just a great venue. And then there's an Italian place that a guy worked for me who actually worked on movie sets in New York would tell me was La Familia, which is an Italian restaurant off of Guadalupe and Alma School. So love that place. So those would be one of the three places that we would go to.
Oh, I love it. And so I'll throw one in up in Anthem. Nara Thai. Oh my gosh, the best Thai food.
Good, I've been there before.
And it's great. Yeah, the Three Kings. And just unbelievable different dishes. All right, next question. You are going on vacation, long weekend, not shooting related with your wife. Where are you going? Hugo.
Probably to our cabin in Colorado,
Ooh, I
by
like that.
Leadville, between Leadville and Aspen.
Where is that exactly?
Twin Lakes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I used to
Right
run the
above-
Leadville 100. We'd run right through
Oh,
Twin
sure.
Lakes. I used to catch a lot of fish there too.
Yes, we're right above Twin Lakes.
Oh my gosh, like the most beautiful area in the world. Like
Love
Jimmy
that.
Buffett territory, right? He'd go up and over.
Right? Exactly.
The
Oh,
grill
escape
in
there.
Leadville. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that. Oh, I love it. That's great. Dan, where are you going on vacation? Long
I
weekend.
like to hunt and fish a lot. So a friend of mine has a boat in Panama, so I go down there quite often, probably once every quarter. We go
Oh,
chase big tuna and marlin, and there are 15, 20 species of fish we can catch down there. So that's a blast. And then also Montana and Idaho for deer and elk hunting. That's kind of my jam if I'm not getting back home for Nebraska pheasant hunting.
my gosh, I love that. So no shortage of fun things to do outside of shooting and work. That's for sure. All right, a couple others. Let's get back. Oh, here we go. FITASC or sporting, Hugo?
FITASC
Pete?
every day.
Ooh, I like that. Sporting or super sporting? Dan,
Super sport.
Hugo,
Super sport.
I'm with you. Super sport or 5-stand?
5-stand.
Super sport.
Ooh, I like this. Okay, Hugo, 5-stand or FITASC?
FITASC.
Dan, super sporting or FITASC?
FITASC.
That makes all three of us.
FITASC
FITASC
wins
wins. I love it. I just think it's great. That's so fun. The reason I named this podcast "Shoot from the Hoop" was for the hoops in FITASC, the hula hoops. And I've had people say, "Gosh, it sounds like basketball," and someone else said it. Hoop. I mean, shoot from the hoop. I mean, hula hoop, right? That kind of sounds crazy, but if you know, you know. That's what I was thinking.
Right.
Right.
All right, a couple more. Your competition gun of choice, Hugo.
Renato Gamba.
You shifted gears.
I have a Renato Gamba. There now. I actually did a video, if you remember, of the state shoot in Arizona.
I think
And
I was in
have
it. Yeah.
I love my Renato Gamba. It's where Perazzi got their start.
Okay.
And so Mr. Gamba actually saw my video, perchance. It happened to blow up, and it took off and blew up in Europe, which was kind of funny.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
And so he reached out to Enrique Gamba, reached out to me. He goes, "Hey, first of all, I want to say thank you for using my gun in your video. And if you ever need anything, let me know." And then he sent me a box of all kinds of Renato Gamba stuff.
Oh my
So it's funny because he doesn't import them in the US anymore. He goes, the Americans just can appreciate a fine firearm. That's what he said. And I'm like,
love
okay.
it.
But so I love the gun. Their new V25 Daytona White is just a beautiful gun, used very much in FITASC in Europe, extensively. So I love my Renato Gamba if I'm not shooting my Benelli or A400.
I love it. All right, Dan, gun of choice.
I have a Kragoff K80 that I pretty much shoot only. That's my favorite gun for sure.
They're bulletproof. I have a parkour. I've shot it a lot over the years, for sure. All right, that sounds
They
good.
just keep working.
So, do you like heavy shells or light shells? What's your shell of choice,
I
Dan?
like the B&P ones, the 100s, the 1165s.
Yeah,
Nice and soft that kill anything.
in the orange box.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I like that. Hugo, what's your choice?
FITASC 1300 7.5.
Oh, okay. So in my semi-auto, I'm shooting double A's, 1250, 7.5. But when I shoot an over-under, I always shoot the 1160s, the B&Ps like you, Dan. All right. Any last comments? I mean, how fun is this, right? I'm really enjoying it. Last comments on FITASC or Lost Dutchman? Dan.
No, I appreciate you having us on. We're super enthusiastic about what we're doing, and we really enjoy our patrons and everybody that comes out there. I miss the days when everybody would hang out and look at the score sheet and everything. Score Chaser kind of ruined that for all of us, because now everybody knows the scores without, hanging around. And so we're trying to create an atmosphere where it's a real club. And, FITASC is our passion. We got this great property. It just really came together, and I couldn't ask for a better partner in Hugo.
That's fabulous. Hugo, last words.
I would agree. Dan is certainly, to have the ability to push this thing forward the way we have. And I love Dan, let's get it done. Let's move forward kind of thing. I've always been a more cautious and conservative kind of guy, and Dan's kind of brash and let's go. So, which works really well because it allows us to get a lot of stuff done and, and reflect back. But, our FITASC shoot, for those who have not shot a FITASC out there, truly, Gavin Miles probably couldn't have said it better than he said, these targets are as good as anything I've shot in the world. And when you have somebody of that caliber say something that, flattering, I was taken aback. I mean, he enjoyed himself so much and had a really great time shooting out there. So for those who have not got the opportunity and would like to have the ability to shoot targets at a variety of, angles, heights, levels, distances, probably no better place than being where we are.
Agree. And I echo Gavin's comments. The targets were out of this world when we shot, and I can't wait to get back and shoot again after the holidays.
We're excited.
Fantastic.
One of the things that, when we threw our first tournament, we were a little premature because we didn't have the road in the state that we have it now. We spent quite a bit of time and resources to get that road really nice. So, I think it was an earlier barrier to people coming out, and there may have been a little stigma from the original shoot, but man, it's as good as dirt road you'll find in Arizona now. So people get out there pretty quickly. It's just 5 miles of dirt and you're on our property. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. So for our listeners out there, Lost Dutchman is basically halfway between Phoenix and Tucson, and it's not far off the road, like you said, 5 miles. Beautiful facility, great terrain, great targets. Certainly worth anybody's time and energy. Bring your gun and a lot of ammo. So, all right. All right. Well, thank you so much for making time to join me on Shoot from the Hoop. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you in January. I wish you both a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And to all of our listeners out there, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, please give us a 5-star rating or perhaps leave a comment or two. And if you're watching on YouTube, by all means, become a subscriber. We'll continue to bring you leaders in FITASC and sporting clays on Shoot from the Hoop. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.